Hello, everyone. It is Brenda with Sheri for What's Up Wednesday. All
Hello,
right,
hello.
so if you tuned in to Talk Tuesday, I've kind of been alluding that we had a special guest this evening for What's Up Wednesday, that Sheri was kind of taking over. And I'm like sitting here just relaxing because I'm just going to sit and watch this evening like all of you. So, which is kind of cool. So the reason why we have Sheri here from the Paper Crafters Workshop is Sheri's got a brand new release with Spellbinders and Hero Arts entitled "We All Got Baggage." And when she told me about this, I was so ecstatic and proud of her and loving this line. I think it's
Thank you.
something that is just well thought out and much needed in our craft world and these days, I think. So welcome, Sheri. Thanks
Thank
for coming
you.
on.
Hello
Appreciate it.
to all the Stamplicity community. Hope everyone's doing well tonight.
So Sheri's going to talk about her new release. She's going to show you. I think she's got samples to show you as well. I've seen so many samples. They are awesome. And the good news is we received this whole collection today. So it should be. I wasn't at the store today, so I'm hoping Kathy received it, and it's up on the website. But I know there's a few of you that had special requested some stuff. If you didn't get notification today, we will definitely tend to that tomorrow. I know the whole collection, the bundle deal is there, and I think you'll probably talk about the special class that's associated with that. So I'll let you talk about that when it comes. But let us know what you want. I'm loving this, and you're going to see lots of it because I want to design lots with it as well, and lots of samples because I think it's just a great collection. So I'm going to spotlight you, Sheri, so you can talk about it. I'll watch for the comments and let you know. And
All
just
right.
bear with me as I push buttons and hopefully we'll be okay. So I want to.
There we go.
No, I want you as the main. Technology.
I know. And every time it feels like every time the buttons move. So can you still hear me okay? I now can't hear you, Brenda, so you'll have to break in if you see any comments. I will try to keep an eye on the comments as well. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I am very grateful to have a friend like Brenda and to be part of a crafting community where we as two different store owners can still share in each other's successes and have lots of fun together. And I really do appreciate the opportunity to come on here and talk to you about We All Have Baggage. This collection has been a long time in the works. It's been a very hard secret to keep for many reasons, but I'm so excited to have it here in the world and have this opportunity to talk about it. We All Have Baggage was really started with a rolling tote idea, and I had gone to Spellbinders and said, you need to do a rolling tote die for National Scrapbooking Day. And the response I got back was, well, why don't you design it? And it wasn't something that I necessarily thought I could do. It wasn't something that was in my wheelhouse, but it was an idea that lived in my brain. And for the entire weekend after that conversation, it lived in my brain and it grew and it grew. And to me, that's a sign of a really solid idea that is meant to come into the world. So we all have baggage. You've heard that saying before. The idea really is we do all have baggage, but in my experience, the crafting community comes together like no other community that I've ever been a part of, to support each other, to connect with each other. And this collection was really designed to give you tools in order to connect, but still keep the feeling light, to keep the feeling creative and all of that good stuff. So I'm just going to switch over to my overhead camera and let's just start by looking at the stuff. So there we go. There is my desktop. And, I am seeing everyone saying hello, everyone. This collection has 5 pieces. There is 2 stamp and die sets. there is 2 standalone die sets, and there is a stamp set that goes with 2 of the dies. And the first set that I'm going to talk to you about is the Retro Suitcase and Sentiments. This is a stamp and die set. So you've got some great little stamps with sentiments like friends help friends carry their baggage, friends and laughter help lighten the load. Sometimes we carry a lot, let me help you. So very encouraging, very supportive messages. And then these little stamps here are designed to be like travel stickers. So when you see it on a typical suitcase, you know, that you've seen it on cartoons, you've seen it in movies, they have the travel stickers of all the destinations you've been. Well, when I look at this, what I think about is your suitcase is where you carry your baggage, where you carry your troubles, your emotions, your challenges. And the stickers are all designed to be the places you go to alleviate that stress. So there's a lotus flower for tranquility. There's the peace symbol. There's the heart for love. There's sunshine to bring brightness to your day. Yin yang for balance. Obviously a smiley face for happiness. And the stars are just to remind us to all sparkle. And so there are lots of great ways that you can put this die together and use those stamps. And this is the set that we are going to use to create with later tonight. So you'll get to see this firsthand. One other thing I'm going to call attention to, and I'm not going to read the entire message, but when you get this in your hand or any of the pieces in this collection, read the back. So I'm just going to read a couple of lines to it. You know, this collection is a reminder that everyone carries something, challenges, burdens, obstacles. There's power in the crafting community to lift each other up. If you're feeling overwhelmed and need someone to talk to, you can call or text 988 in Canada or the US at any time. This is a hotline that will give support and mental health resources for you. So that message is on the back of every single piece, just as a reminder that you are not alone. Let me show you a couple of samples with this one. And the running joke is Spellbinders asked me for 4 to 5 samples in order to photograph and use in the catalog. However, I went a little bit further. Brenda will attest that, you know, she and I are very like-minded and we always do more than what we are asked. I sent them 38 samples. So there are lots of samples to show. I'm just going to show you a few, but watch, you know, social media. All of these samples over time will be out there in the world. So here is your basic retro suitcase, just nice and simple. One thing you will find, and I'll talk about this a little bit later when we do our project, I tend to put things on a jaunty angle. I don't like things straight on, especially with this collection, because I wanted it to be about moving forward. So I liked lots of angles and lots of drawing your eye across the project to really mirror that feeling. Here's a version of that same card, but I've changed up the colors so your color schemes can really be personalized and changed for the person you're giving this to. And I used an embossing folder in the background. Then I got out some of my Hero Wax and my favorite brick stencil. So playing with the backgrounds also helps those items stand out. There's tons of great little details here. So the straps have great stitching. We've got these little buckles, the little corner brackets we'll talk about as well. But so many details that really make this set come to life. You can use pattern paper. And here I've paired it with I think this was the Be Bold Blooms floral. So you can really girl it up if you want. Or you can bring in stencils and make it a little bit more masculine. So this is the Hero Arts Houndstooth stencil. I also dug out Nina's gift card holder. So this was part of Nina's bougie birthday collection, but it fit the suitcase perfectly. So you could add this onto a gift card. And then last but not least, those stamps, you don't even need the suitcase. You can create a nice random stamped pattern in the background and just use that as part of your card. So lots of great ways you can use this suitcase. And you know what? At the end of the day, this has a great message, but you could use it for travel. You could use it in a travel journal. You can use it on a travel layout. You could wish someone bon voyage, or maybe they're moving. Lots of great ways that you can use the retro suitcase to connect with someone else. All right, so that's number one. Piece number, sorry, go ahead.
I'm coming back on. Everyone's loving the samples, and those are just great. And I love this one. I really like the little straps on those ones too. The little buckle is just so darn cute.
It is. And I'm going to give you some tips as well on how to make that buckle really easy to attach when we get to our project. All right, so the next two items I'm going to share with you is the rolling craft tote. This is where the whole idea began. And the designers at Spellbinders did a fabulous job that you can either have the handle collapsed so it looks like your tote is standing still, or you can have it extended and put it again on that jaunty angle so it looks like it's rolling in action. But you can have a lot of fun with the colors and the patterns and everything, and choose your mode of transportation, if you will. And then this is the stamp set that I was talking about. This coordinates with the rolling tote as well as with the designer purse, which I will show you next. And I think you'll notice something, that this is not Spellbinders. It is Hero Arts. So Heather from the Hero Arts team wanted a piece of the action, as we say, and wanted to be part of this collection as well. So she helped by designing this stamp set that coordinates well with the other two. And I personally am just so honored that this is a nice collaboration between the two companies. And so it really does show great support for this collection. So my first sample, and you will see a nice range of colors because, you know, for Spellbinders has some amazing colors of cardstock. So it was really easy to just, oh, I'm feeling pink today, or, oh, I'm feeling yellow today. You can play with all those colors and really personalize the message. So here you see with the handle collapsed and it's sitting nice and tall. And I just put the sentiment on a little ticket die. Lots of bling on here, though it looks like they're moving around a little bit. I'll have to fix that one later. And then here is a purple one, this time on that angle. So you've got your extended handle, great stitching details and all of that good stuff that really gives this die some perspective, as well as just a nice finish. Played with some more retro color combinations. My store color, as you can tell, is green. So I had to do a green rolling tote. And then this is probably one of my favorites. If you have the Pear Blossoms Snap and Spins, you can make this into a slider as well. I've got some little bits of bling, really made this girly and fun. This is how we roll. We can carry anything together. Just some great sentiments that can be used across the board. So that is the rolling tote, and I'm running out of space here, and that sentiment set. The other item that went with that sentiment set is the designer purse. Talk about versatility. So this is a great little purse that that has a couple of base foundation pieces. There's this front flap and this base piece, but even this base piece you can rotate and flip it the other way around so that the points are a little bit higher up. But you've got 3 different flap closures and 2 different handles. So you can mix and match to your heart's content and really have a lot of fun. Again, there's lots of stitching around here. There's these little charms that go here on the handle. And, you know, even though I'm not typically a purse girl, I'm more of a backpack kind of girl, I had a lot of fun creating with this. So here is just a nice simple one using some purple. And here I've broken that sentiment into 2 parts. So I used a different color. Another variation on that, just playing with some different color combinations. And here you can see that single strap versus the different flap here. This one's got the long handle. This one doesn't. And then I also brought in embossing folders. So some of these Spellbinders embossing folders have a really nice small print. small pattern to it. So you can use it on that front pattern and really create your own designer look. This one here, I turned into a shaker, but I also flipped the handle. Instead of being up, I flipped it down. I flipped the clasp upside down. So there are really infinite number of configurations that you can use with this set. Here's another embossing folder just on a nice shaped card. And then here, is this the last one? Yeah, this one, I brought in some pattern paper as well. And again, those bee bulb blooms, bringing some florals into it. Lots of the nesting dies from Spellbinders. So many ways to create a really nice finished look and have fun creating, because one of the things that crafting brings us is our own mental health. I know it's kind of a joke that we say, scrapbooking or crafting is cheaper than therapy, and some husbands I think would probably disagree with that. But creating creates that flow state, that sense of meditation, repeating steps, configuring things. That all helps our mental health. And if we're creating something to then connect with someone else, it also helps their mental health. So it is a full circle kind of approach with this collection. And then last, but certainly not least, in this collection is the Awareness Ribbon and Sentiments. This is the second stamp and die set. So the die is very simple. It's got your two arms for the ribbon and what I call a connector piece. But it also has these little inserts. So you can have, and I don't know if it's going to show well on the packaging here. I'll show it better on some of the samples. You can use the word hope. You can use the word strength, or you can even use both or neither. The only thing to keep in mind when you are using both is that strength has to go on top. Hope is positioned enough so that it can stick behind, but strength has to go on top because it crosses that barrier. And then where the awareness, sorry, I don't even think I told you the name of this one. This is the Keep Calm Sentiments. These ones are a little bit more cheeky, a little bit more fun, unpack and unwind. Life is short, buy the purse. This is how we roll. This was the cheeky fun one. These ones are a little bit more serious, but still just as encouraging and as empowering. So things like, you are never alone on this path. There is strength in your smile. We'll fight this together. It's okay to take it one breath at a time. Sometimes we need those slightly more serious, but still heartfelt sentiments when we're sending a card like this to someone who is in need. And just by changing up the colors of your ribbon will obviously change up the cause that you are supporting. So green is the color for mental health awareness. Many of us know that pink is for breast cancer, of which I am also a survivor. So those were the two colors I chose for the packaging to really support and represent that. Lastly, it was very important for me to include a ribbon stamp as well. And it is perfectly scaled. And you'll see maybe on some of my other examples where it will fit on the rolling tote, on the purse, and on the suitcase. So you can mix and match these sets very easily and still have that messaging come across. One last thing before I show the samples for the ribbon. It was very important to me that these dies be very accessible and easy to use. So every single one of these dies will fit in a Scout machine or a smaller compact die cutting machine. You don't need a big machine to use this. You do not need all kinds of tools and supplies. Your basic supplies is all you need to use these items. All right, so here are my last round of samples. So this is the one that's in the catalog and was one of my favorites. So here you can see that word strength and just brought in that it's okay to take it one breath at a time. Here I brought out my stencil again and created that background. You got this is probably one of the sentiments it's something I say a lot. So it was one of the sentiments I used a lot. So just kind of peeking in the background, we'll fight this together. Here is a pink ribbon with the word hope on it. Again, bringing in some florals, a nice embossing folder, and just keeping it in the right spirit. Another great green ribbon one. Here is another pink ribbon one, and this is where I've used the stamp kind of as a border treatment in the back. Like the suitcase, the stamp set can also be used on its own, so you don't necessarily need the ribbon die if you want to keep it very clean and simple. This one I created right around the time we were working on World Fussy Cutting Day. So this is what I call Sharon's card. It is the red ribbon for heart health and heart disease awareness. There is strength in your smile. So just by changing up the color changes up the meaning. And this last one is for my sister-in-law who passed away of osteosarcoma. Yellow is the color for bone cancer. So I wanted to make sure I had something to represent her as well. So lots of samples, lots of goodies.
Lots of great samples. I gotta say, I don't know which one is my favorite. I love this set that you just, because it can be used for so much.
Agreed.
You know, you change that color of the ribbon and it's just meant for something else. And great. The whole collection, I gotta say, and I was saying that in the comments, it is so well thought out. Everything, you know, with the little ribbon stamp, how it's proportioned to fit on the suitcase and the roller tote, everything is very well thought out. And she does say, "You got this." She tells me that all the time.
You got this. That's what we're here for. We're here to connect with each other and support each other, because when I'm having a bad day, my friend on this side isn't, and she's there to support me, and likewise I am there to support her. So this collection, if it just helps you connect with one person and support one person, then I like to think that my job is done.
Outstanding job. You did
Thank
it.
you.
I love it. I love it. I love everything around this whole collection, the meaning behind it, and then how easy it's all, like how easy it is to put together. Like I know we did the suitcase. I've done the suitcase, and it's really easy. And I love all the little additions, like the little corners that you can put on there. And
well done, my friend. I'll talk about that suitcase in just a few minutes, because I actually have my prototypes here, so I can show you some of the things that changed from round 1 to round 2.
Very cool.
Before we get into crafting, I just wanted to talk about the I Want It All bundle, which Brenda mentioned in her introduction. So there is a bundle that features, obviously, I Want It all 5 of the items, but there's extra. So in that kit, you will also get 10 half sheets of cardstock. You will get a pack of gems, and you will get access to me teaching on May the 1st. So I am going to pre-record a 4-card class that will go live on Spellbinders YouTube on May the 1st that you can come and create with me. We will make one of each of the dies so that you'll have practice in putting it together and learn what all the different little pieces are. And as an added bonus, this was a wonderful idea from Spellbinders. They actually have an additional little bundle called Carry It Together. And that is an additional pack of cardstock and gems that if you would like to connect and craft with a friend, you can buy that extra cardstock pack to go with your bundle so that you and a friend can craft together, can connect together over crafting, and just have a wonderful afternoon.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it all.
Lots of great details. And the reason why it's May 1st is because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So it really will be kicking off a lot of great messaging and a lot of great focus on this message, because at the end of the day, we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it with each other. We need to tell people when we're not doing well and get the help. I do have family members who struggle with mental health issues. So this is very near and dear to my heart. Myself have dealt with some pretty extreme mental health issues. And if we don't talk about it, we can't help each other.
And I think, the whole reason why I love this so much is the meaning behind this, because you're absolutely right. Like so many of us do suffer from mental health issue. I as well. I still continue it's been a long battle for myself with depression, and I have anxiety disorder. And I've gone through a whole lot of shit in my life, excuse my language. But it's wonderful that we can talk about it now, and we don't, it's not a bad thing to talk about, and we can reach out to people. And as crafters, I always joke around that, you know, my second job, I own a store, but I'm also a therapist, I always find, right? Because we do share, as women, we do share, and crafting does bring us together, and it brings us to talking. And I think this is just an incredible collection. So
absolutely.
So thank you.
You know what? If I can touch just a few lives, then the world is going to be a better place. And just hearing some of the stories that I've heard from some of my community and people that I've spoken to, it really does make a difference to just be able to talk about it, and then to be able to craft about it, to be able to share what you make. That's what we live for. We live as crafters for those opportunities to really connect and make someone smile.
Well, everyone is loving the collection.
Excellent.
Everyone wants the I Want It All bundle, so that's great.
Hey, let's keep it going. So you know what? Who wants to get crafting? Let's get crafting.
All right, I'm taking myself off screen, and we're going to put you full screen, and let's get crafting.
Excellent. So I'm going to go back to my desktop. There we go. And this is the little card that we are going to make tonight. It's a very simple gatefold, but I'm going to show you a couple of neat little tricks to it. And of course, we are going to assemble this suitcase together. For the most part, I have pre-die cut this, but I do have my little scout over here on the side because there's a couple of things I haven't done. And I do have my prototypes, so we will talk about that as well. And let's have fun. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and cut our card base and our pattern paper. And that was one thing I did not do before we went live, but I'm just going to take my 8.5 by 11 cardstock. This is Windy from Spellbinders. It's that really pale ice blue. I'm going to take it. I'm going to just cut it in half so that I have one card base. So that's at 5.5. Put one off to the side in case I make a boo-boo. And we're going to put it back horizontal this way now. And I'm going to score it twice. I am going to score 2 1/8 from either side. And that is what is going to make our nice little gatefold. So make sure I put that cutting blade away so I don't cut it by mistake. 2 1/8. Let's score it up. And just because I don't like to do math, I'm going to flip it over this way, go 2 1/8 again. And there we go. Now I'm going to do a dry run where I'm going to see and make sure that this, oh, look, I did it perfectly this time. It fits really nicely. On my sample, I actually had to trim one of my edges, but I didn't figure that out till I already had the pattern paper on it. So it's always good to check it out first. So that is ready to go. The second thing I'm going to do is take some pattern paper. This is from Art and Creative's Field Notes paper. I just pulled it out of my pad, but really any random pattern will do very well for this. And I'm going to cut a piece that is 5.5 by 2 1/8. So I'm already 5.5 so that it is my full height here. And 2 1/8 would essentially cover one panel, but I'm going to cut it in half diagonally to create that diagonal, that forward motion that I was talking about earlier for this card. So 2 1/8. I don't think it matters. It does have writing on this paper, but it's so subtle that I don't think it's going to matter which way I do it. 2 1/8. And I can tuck that aside. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this on a diagonal. I'm going to cut it from the top right to the bottom left so that I have one piece that's going to go on this side and one piece that's going to go on this side. So top right to bottom left. Get that lined up here and cut away. And so when we have those two pieces, let me get my trimmer out of the way. When we have those two pieces and we reverse them, look at what that makes. It makes that parallelogram, that diagonal line. So it's really going to help us create some very subtle forward movement, even on this gatefold card. Amy is saying she would love to create an autism acceptance and awareness. I think the ribbon would be fabulous for that. And just find the right colors and you could really create some beautiful things with it. If you had puzzle piece dies as well, you could build that in and pair that with the ribbon to create a really nice look for your project. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and glue these down onto my card base. When I got pointy bits, I tend to prefer to use liquid glue, but everybody has their own way of doing things. So you do you. I'm just opening this up so I don't get the bounce factor. Line that up on that gatefold. Stick it down. And then reverse. So this one's going to come over here. This one I want that straight part at the top. So we'll glue it accordingly. And that's going to go along that edge. There we go. Oops, that wiggled just a bit. Come on, squish back. So now when I close that gatefold, it still has that visual diagonal, but then we'll still open in that fun format. Okay, so that can now go aside. Let me pull out all of my bits and let me grab that set. So one of the fun things that I learned about this process of designing dies and designing products is that they'll send you prototypes that you have to then play with and test right away to make sure that it does all the things you want it to do. So with this set, the one thing that I did make a change, this is set number 1. And this is going to be the little base for our handle. And you will notice that right now it just has 2 little posts. And when I tried to assemble this and put it together for the first time, I'm like, there's nowhere to put the glue. So that's why on this piece here, we've added 2 little balls, and that's to put your glue on for attaching your handle. And that'll make a lot more sense when I go through the pieces. But that was a fun little thing that you got to really make a difference in how something is used. Jurist is asking, what ribbon is mental health awareness? That is green. Green is mental health awareness, which is why a lot of my samples were in green. The other thing that I had really wanted with this set, so this strap here for the suitcase, you actually need 2 of, so you have to cut it twice. And these are the 2 little corner brackets. So you have a solid piece and then the piece with the ribbon or rivet. You need to cut those 4 times. So I had asked, can we at least include one more set to make it a little bit more easy? But I would have had to give up something because I really only had a finite footprint. Let me, so the dies really all had to fit in this little footprint. So in order to make more brackets, I had to give up something and I wasn't willing to do that. So sorry guys, when you're die cutting, you have to cut it 4 times. But that does help with your meditative flow. It does help you get into the zone when you're crafting. So there's a good reason for you to be able to have to cut it 4 times. Now, because I didn't change that form factor, I can cheat and I can cut it twice, but you guys will have to cut it 4 times. All right, so what do I have here in my little tray? Right now I have a piece of gray. This is, I think it's fog, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken. Then I have the little detail trim, and that is created by taking these 2 pieces. So your main base piece is this one here that has all your stitching around. And then I add this one in when I'm cutting to create this little trim for around the suitcase. The reason why this one isn't cut yet, because we are going to stamp on it, but you can always cut it at the same time. I've got my 2 straps here in red. I have my corner pieces. So I cut the riveted piece out of indigo, which is the navy blue. And then I've got the solid pieces here. I feel like I'm missing one. It's still in my little tray here. I think this is cranberry. Did I get my colors right? Where are my reds? It's not pomegranate. Yeah, it's cranberry that I used for the red. And then last but not least are the little handle pieces. So here is that piece with the balls. Here is the piece that I affectionately have been calling the sausage or the wiener. You guys will laugh later when we are attaching that because, you know, things that sound dirty in scrapbooking but aren't. And this is the little handle grip. So those are the 3 pieces that go with the handle. I also have some metallic paper here. I have some silver and some gold. Probably will use the gold like I did on my sample one, but with metallic paper especially, and with those buckles, these cute little buckles, which are so amazing, but very delicate and dainty. I like to put the Spellbinders liner sheet on the back so that I turn that into a sticker before I die cut it. And it makes it a lot easier to attach it. And then I've got my sentiment ready to go. So before I start assembling, what I want to do with this one is use the stamps to create a pattern paper so that we can have all of those fun little icons, or at least some of the fun little icons, without doing the sticker treatment. So instead of doing the stickers separately, in which case there are specific dies for them, so you don't have to worry about fussy cutting those. But another way you can do it is to just create that kind of pattern on your suitcase. So we're going to start with that. I'm using 49 Market ink. I've got Tranquil Waters. I've got Rainforest. I've got Engine number 9. And I have Shamrock. So let me get my stamp set, which is very well loved. I've done a lot of stamping with these guys. Making sure I make some room here. And I'm just putting a little bit of scrap paper underneath. So I'm going to start with the largest one, which is the sun. Where did my, oh, there's my sample. My sample was open. Oh, no, that's the one I'm working on. Where'd my sample go? Oh, it's over here. So I'm going to start with the sun and Tranquil Waters. Just grabbing a stamping block. This is one technique that you don't necessarily want to use your stamping tool. You just want to use your block. And I am just going to stamp in a triangular pattern across this little gray piece and cover it with suns. And I always like to start with the largest one because when I go to put my smaller ones into place, I will have room to fit it. If I don't do the big ones first, if I do them last, they may not fit. So just, and when I say triangular pattern, when you take a line, an imaginary line, and connect your 3 stamped images, it forms a triangle, and that just helps you keep it somewhat even, yet still somewhat random. Here we go. All right, so that is the sun. Next, I'm going to do the smiley face. Good thing I have lots of blocks because I forgot to wet my stamp chamois, so I'll have to clean that later. I bet Brenda does that from time to time too. You get crafting away and realize you have forgotten something that you plan to have handy. So now I'm just filling in the spaces here, covering over my area. And you know what? If one of your stamps doesn't turn out well, first of all, you could just call it distressed. Or when you position your die cut to cut it out, you can just cut around it. Hopefully, at least if it's on the edges. All right, next up, I'm going to do the heart with engine number 9. My little heart is starting to lose its sticky that I have used it that much. But with clear stamps, all you have to do is gently wash them. Make sure you put the plug in the sink before you do so you don't lose anything down the drain. Ask me how I know. All right, so I've got lots of hearts here, creating this fun little background. And then we will finish off with the little stars. Brenda says all the time. I know. Best laid plans, you think you are the most prepared. And usually it's the one thing that you don't think of that you are missing. But that's when you think on your feet. That's when you think to yourself, you've got this. All right, so I've just filled in a bunch of these areas here. And there's my sweet little card. So now all I have to do is take that outer die. Take this outer die here. And I'm just going to die cut it out. And I know I've had a couple of boo-boos here. So there's one here that didn't get stamped well. I'm just going to move it over and make sure that that goes in my scrap cut. So please forgive me if the desk shakes. I should be able to get this through pretty quick. And again, everything fits well on the Scout, so any die cut machine will be able to work with these. All right. Shakety shaky. All right. So that can go over here. Now we've got our pieces and we can start assembling. So there's lots of different ways that you can assemble this. You can do things in any order that you prefer. Even when we were in trade shows. So Brenda alluded to the fact that she's made one of these suitcases already in one of our trade shows. It was actually interesting to see someone else work with it because they cut the pieces a little bit differently. They assembled it a little bit differently. But I'm going to share how I assemble it. And when you get to work with it, you can decide how you want to assemble it. So I've got my base here. Let me zoom in a little bit more closely here. And I am going to take my frame. Now, this is another piece that if you wanted to, you could use that liner sheet on the back. However, you are cutting out a lot of that middle area. So I tend to just use my liquid glue instead. I'm very protective of my liner sheet papers and tend to hoard it a little bit. My frame is just going to go all the way around the outside. And with that liquid glue, you can then kind of scooch it into place. So just like so. And a little bit of extra glue there. What's a little glue between friends, right? All right. So the next thing I do, I like to work from the outside in. So I'm going to start with the 4 corners, then do the straps, and then do the handle. That I find helps me keep everything really centered and gives you, even if it's not perfectly centered, it gives you the optical illusion that it is centered. So to start with, we're going to punch out that little hole, and all of my blue corner pieces with the holes are going to go on top of a red piece without holes. And again, this is these repetitive steps. And this could be something, you know, much like the Elizabeth Craft reinforcer dies. This could be something that you just sit in front of the TV and cut a bunch out of different colors. Have a little stash of these corners that you can mix and match. and even possibly put them together as you're watching TV so that when you go to build a suitcase, you can have them ready to go. That way you kind of get that repetitive motion, you get that takes your mind off of things. It really focuses you on a nice, simple task and helps to bring down the blood pressure a little bit, helps to create a sense of calm. And I don't know about you, but when I'm sitting in front of the TV, I generally want to snack. So if my hands are busy doing something like cutting and assembling suitcase corners, then it saves my calories. I'm not putting things in my mouth that don't need to be there. All right, so there are my 4 corners, and see how easily that came together. Really quick and simple. Four sets of everything seems like a lot, but they cut really nicely and come together really easy. So now I'm just going to put a corner on each of the 4 corners of the suitcase. There's one. There's 2. Just let it sit there for a sec. Personally, I am a big fan of tweezers. My fingers tend to be on the chubbier side, and they sometimes don't work the way I want them. So I find that the tweezers help me to get things into place where I want them. But you could use a pokey tool. You can use one of the pickup tools. You could just use your fingers if they work for you. But I like having these little extra guys. All right. Well, let's go back this way. Right now we can go in any direction, but I know that my smiley faces, I want to be upright. So we've got them setting here. Now, the next step we're going to do is we're going to put our straps on, and I don't know if it's going to zoom in very well, but there's stitching along this outside edge. So I tend to go over like 2 little stitch marks from the left and 2 little stitch marks from the right. Now be careful when you're doing that, because the stitch marks at the bottom don't actually line up with the stitch marks at the top. So you kind of have to get it where you want it at the top and be okay with wherever it lands at the bottom. You can always say, well, this baggage has been through some travels and it's gotten a little cattywampus. It's gotten a little bit banged around. So that's why the straps aren't perfectly straight. There's always a reason why things end up the way they are. So I'm just going 2 stitches in from that left-hand edge and smooth it out. Your strap is a tiniest bit longer than the suitcase. So I tend to make it overlap at the top and have it flush at the bottom, but I don't think anybody's going to notice that much detail. All right, my second suitcase, my second strap is going to go over here on the right-hand side. It's coming together. And yeah, maybe this one might be a little bit closer. I'm not sure, but I'm going to pretend that it's even. We're going to set that aside just for a second and come to our handle. So our handle has 3 different pieces, and maybe I should have done a darker color, but so it shows up better on camera, but hopefully you can see that. So this base piece here, you want the little balls facing up. This horizontal piece is going to go in behind the suitcase. And then we've got our sausage. So I tend to put just a little bit of glue on each of those balls. And then we're going to attach our sausage to our balls. And that's where you're going to chuckle, because yeah, things that sound dirty in scrapbooking but aren't. All right, so that is coming together there. And then our little handle grip is just going to center onto that sausage handle. So there we go. Our handle is now assembled. And then we're going to take this piece here. Glue is going to go on top of that horizontal piece and just tuck in behind the suitcase. And you could just wiggle it into place, have some of that little stumpy part. Let me get, so you can see that those little stumps are sticking up. It's just the horizontal piece that is in behind, but it really gives a nice finished look. Now, one thing I'm going to suggest to you, if you are doing something like the gift card holder that I showed you earlier, one thing I recommend is that piece with the balls, this piece here, cut at least twice, if not 3 times, and stack them and layer them, because that is probably the one really fragile piece of this set. And if it's hanging off a gift card like this, it could get bent, it could get torn. So by cutting that 2 or 3 times and stacking them will give you some extra rigidity and extra strength on your piece. All right, we are almost there. All I need to do is attach my buckles. So I'm just going to take this piece of gold, and this is where I'm going to take advantage of having two sets. You would have to do it 2 separate times, but I am lucky and have 2 buckles. So let me just cut these guys out. Like I said, I've got the liner sheet on the back so that it turns it into a sticker and I don't have to glue those tiny little pieces. Cranky crank, that's getting in the way. And these buckles, they do have a little prong on it. I tend to like to put the prongs facing up. You could do them facing down if you preferred. My only suggestion would be make sure you do both the same. Whether they're both up or both down, that's totally up to you. So that already has sticky on it. I'm going to line the prong up with the second hole and just stick it down. And then the same with this guy. Nope, that's the center. Come on. It's being feisty tonight. There we go. Stick that into place there. All right. And that is it. Easy peasy assembly on that. Very easy steps. I don't know if I explicitly said it, but because I centered this handle between the 2 straps, even if the straps weren't centered, the handle is going to look centered because it is centered between those 2 vertical pieces. So there's lots of ways to cheat it and make it very friendly and reliable. All right, so let's just attach this now to our card base. I am going to grab one of my magnets, just plunk that down there. Once again, I love a good jaunty angle. So I'm going to put let me come down just a smidgen there. I'm going to put my suitcase like this, only putting glue on the left-hand side of this. This one, I think I may jump to tape runner. So just on that left-hand side. And jaunty angle. Squish it down. Test it. Make sure you can't see the glue. I've got a little bit there. I can use a powder tool to help alleviate that. But I can still open my card. And then let's finish off with our sentiment. I'm going to dovetail the 2 ends. Grab my scissors. So a little snip, corner, corner, snip, corner, corner. And just for fun, I'm going to do this the opposite. So I'm only going to put adhesive on the right side of this and attach it to the other side so that it looks centered when it is closed. But then when we open it up, they open up in the opposite direction. So you don't need your card to be super complicated because you do want that suitcase to kind of be the hero. But I've had lots of fun just thinking of different ways to really support this and give it some context, give it some dimension, and let it be fun. All right, let's zoom out and let's come back. How was that?
That was awesome. I love the fact that you use the stamps to like make your own pattern paper. I think that's brilliant. It was a great little sample. I love it. I love that
Thank
little
you.
suitcase. It's so cute. And like you said before, I mean, you've got the intention it was for, but I just think it's such a cute little suitcase. I mean, I can see them making a cute little folio with it. Anyone that does journal pages, travel pages, that's going to be a nice little addition because of the size of it as well.
Yes.
I think it's a very versatile die.
Yes, it is. I can see this being one, or at least, self-servingly I say this, but hopefully everyone else sees this, that this is one that you will keep in your stash because you can pull it out for so many different reasons and just have a lot of fun with it. You could make a shaped card out of it, tags, so many different things for so many reasons. And even if you're the only one that knows the main reason behind it, that's okay. You just want to use it and you want to enjoy using it.
Awesome. Everyone's loving it. I'm seeing all the comments. Yeah. So yeah, that's the first thing. When I saw that little suitcase, I'm like, I want to make a shaped card because all my customers know I love my shaped cards. And I just think it's great. And the sizing is perfect for gift cards as well. Yeah. So yeah, great one.
And again, even if you're a scrapbooker, like I've got paper pulled already that I want to do a really beat up kind of vintage suitcase on a 49 market layout. It will fit perfectly in so many different ways.
Ooh, you know what? Just brilliant idea. I'm just saying there's a new collection from Arden coming out. Aha.
Yeah.
Not saying no more, but that will be awesome.
That would work very well with that. Yes. Yes. So folks, Brenda's got it hopefully received and on her website. Go see her in the store, all that good stuff. Go and get that collection from her, whether it's one piece or all 5 pieces. And let's spread the word. Let's spread the love and help everyone lighten their load.
And just a reminder for those that are tuning in, there is an I Want It All bundle, which will come with a free class with Sheri. So you'll make 4 cards each. When you do one with each of the dies. So that's going to be your best bang for your buck. So I know I have one set aside for me already because I really want to start creating with this line. I just think it's so amazing.
Thank you. And thank you again for having me on tonight. It's just so wonderful to be able to, share our community and share our ideas. And I really do appreciate your support.
Well, thank you for coming on. It was so nice to sit back and relax and not craft for this hour. Now I know what all my customers feel like when I'm doing What's Up Wednesday. They just sit and watch. And that's what I was doing. I was enjoying it. It was awesome.
But hopefully you're getting ideas too. So excellent.
All right. So that's it for What's Up Wednesday this evening. For anyone that's interested in the collection or components of the collection, we'll make sure that they're online. If they're not online, I'll post all the links and all that tomorrow. And thanks for joining us this evening on Facebook and YouTube and on the rewatch. We appreciate it. And thank you, my friend Sheri, for joining us. And
it's my pleasure. I do have one ask of your community. When you get these in your hot little hands, if you do make something, please do make sure you post. We've kind of in my community be using the hashtag we all have baggage. So I would absolutely love to see what you make. I think that's like the next milestone in doing something like this is I know the way I designed it, but I can't wait to see how everybody else uses it. So please do share it and share it with the world.
We always say sharing is caring. We love the inspiration. And, just because we do it one way doesn't mean it can't be done another way. And that's why we love seeing everyone's project. So please make sure you do post that with the hashtag We've All Got Baggage so that we can see your inspiration. All right, so I think I'm going to call it a night. So thank you again for everyone. And until next time, have yourself a creative day in a week, and we will talk soon.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.